Good evening. Our top story this week. The U.S. Supreme Court upholds the rights of citizens in Illinois to film cops and other government agents in the line of duty, although there is still no word as to whether or not this applies to CPS agents. In Los Angeles, California, as it turns out, most of the juveniles who are arrested on prostitution charges come out of the county's foster care system. According to an audit, California state officials mismanaged the funds for a program that was aimed at preventing child abuse by spending too much on administration and allowing a disruption in grant funds when a contract lapsed. And in Maine, teachers are saying that they're getting assaulted in wake of recent changes to the state's rules on restraining children in school. In Nebraska, the child protective industry is still trying to fix the mess caused by the state's privatization attempt for foster care. Indiana finally settles a long-running dispute over how much they pay foster care providers. And Indiana also launches a brand new child abuse hotline after complaints that the old system required CPS rats to be placed on hold or leave messages so that they could be called back. In Pennsylvania, a task force that was created to make sure that nothing like the Penn State sex abuse scandal ever happens again is recommending a complete rewrite of the state's child protection laws. Rhode Island is having a problem with high suicide rates among their stolen children who are warehoused in group homes. The Rhode Island Child Advocate backs out as co-counsel with children's rights in a class action lawsuit against the state's child protective industry, alleging widespread abuse and neglect of children in state care. In Alabama, it is very rare for foster kids to get college degrees. In Ohio, CPS agents are neglecting their own families and missing out on special events because it's hard to find homes for some of the kids they're snatching. Ohio's foster kids are being booted out onto the street when they grow up without any family and little assistance when they need help getting an apartment or a driver's license. In Kansas, two foster parents who suffered devastating violations of their 14th Amendment rights can't do anything about it because CPS agents are immune from their claims. In Kansas scores an F in their child sex trafficking laws, which should help to protect children. In Tennessee, somebody made bomb threats against 30 courthouses and other government buildings, causing some to be evacuated. South Carolina's child welfare system is going to be audited after a rash of failures. South Dakota is being accused of willfully breaking child welfare laws by snatching too many Native American kids from their homes and placing them with non-Native families. And a federal court issues an injunction against Obamacare's contraception mandate, which will help provide more unwanted children for the child protective industry. In China this week, a journalist is arrested for reporting on the deaths of homeless children. In Armenia, corruption is being blamed for packed orphanages after promises to return the kids to their parents or put them in foster homes. In Haiti, the government is overhauling the country's adoption laws in an effort to put a stop to both child trafficking and kids languishing in squalid orphanages. In India, a garbage fire wrecks a child welfare office. And in Sweden, a foster parent gets 8 years for raping foster kids. In Canada, the issue of evidence bedevils the child protective industry, which is in hot water over their failures in the Phoenix Sinclair inquiry, after a social worker admits that she probably could have done more to protect the kid. In Australia, a foster father who molested a kid in his care is denied bail. An Australian mother whose 8-year-old son was molested by a foster kid who she had taken is overwhelmed by the community support that she is getting. And 3 girls who were raped by a 15-year-old foster kid living in their home are being partially blamed for not locking their bedroom doors. In England this week, the British media is harping over 2 foster parents who lose their foster kids because of their affiliation with the politically incorrect UK Independence Party, and another member of the same party who is running for office calls gay adoption child abuse. BBC has to pay £3,000 for presenting a false news report that led to the false sex abuse allegations against Lord McAlpine. A top British official is busted for possession of child abuse images, and a quarter of the UK social workers have yet to renew their licensing registration as required by law. In entertainment news this week, Halle Berry rushes to court to get a restraining order after a Thanksgiving Day brawl between her current and her ex-boyfriends, which sparks a CPS investigation. In Indiana, 2 foster parents are arrested for neglect after a teenager jumps out of a second-story window to escape their foster home of horrors. In Arizona, a couple is arrested for running a child custody mediation service without being qualified to do so. And in Florida, the murder trial begins for a former foster mother who police believe smothered a little girl and kept her in a dog dog cage before she disappeared 10 years ago. In Minnesota, a real mother disappears after snatching her kids from a foster home. In Alabama, a man is sentenced to 2 months in jail for impeding a child abuse investigation by trying to cover it up when his son was accused of molesting children at an orphanage in Honduras. In New Mexico, police arrest a 14-year-old in a double homicide at a foster home. And in Nevada, a family court judge is indicted in a fraud scheme, and another family court judge has been assigned to take over his cases. In New York, a man is accused of making a false child abuse report after taking a kid from her mother's funeral to the Child Advocacy Center and accusing her father of sexually abusing her so that he could try to get custody. In Arkansas, a foster mother and her girlfriend are arrested after putting a foster kid into a tub of scalding hot water and burning his legs. In Washington, a CPS agent is sentenced to 5 years for child porn distribution. And in West Virginia, a family court judge admits to unprofessional conduct after going off like a total jerk on several litigants. In North Carolina, 2 couples are still fighting over wanting to adopt the same baby. A Mexican father whose kids were snatched 2 years ago by North Carolina CPS agents when he was deported regains custody of his 2 sons on a trial basis. And finally, tonight, in Kansas, a boy who grew up in foster care after being snatched from his father comes to learn that his biological mother was a circus performer who was in the Guinness World Book of Records as the woman with the world's longest beard. For these stories and all the latest dirt on the child protective industry, visit www.legallykidnapped.com. And until next week, this is Baby LK, over and out.